Hi families and students. Today I'm going to do a multiplication equation using the two methods that we've learned in class. First I'll do the array method or area model, and then I'll do the traditional method using the same questions so we can see how they're similar and how they're different. So we learn the array method or area model partially because when we learn multiplication, multiplication is an area. It can be represented as an area on a grid. The same way that we figure out how much flooring we need to buy, we can do the same thing with multiplication, and it helps us to understand that multiplication and area are similar and the same. And it also helps us with understanding math once we get to the higher levels, like when we get to junior high and high school, as well as allowing us to visually see what's going on, and it helps to maintain the place value of the numbers. So let's get started. We have our multiplication equation here, 26 times 32. We kept the numbers fairly small to give a good example. So we're going to start by drawing our array or our area. Sometimes this method is also called the box method because we end up with some boxes. So I'm going to start out by drawing myself some boxes. What I'm really doing here is I'm dividing my numbers up into more manageable chunks. So I'm going to start by putting a 20 plus a 6, which represents 26 over on this side. And then I'm going to write a 30 plus a 2, which represents 32 up here. And then I'm just going to fill in the boxes like I would with a multiplication chart by multiplying out the numbers. So 20 times 30, well, I know that 2 times 3 is 6, and then I can see I have 2 zeros to add there, so I'm going to add those on. And then I'm going to multiply 6 times 30. Well, 6 times 3 is 18. Then I'm going to add a 0 on there. 20 times 2 is, well, 2 times 2 is 4. And I'm going to add a 0. And 6 times 2 is 12. Once I do that, I'm just going to add up what's in the boxes. I can either list them over on the side here if that makes me happy, or I can add them in the columns here and then add them again. So usually I add them in the columns, then I add them again. So 40 plus 12 is 52. 600 plus 180 is 780. Now I have these two numbers and I just need to add them together. So 780 plus 52, I have a 2, and then a 13, carry that 1, and an 832. So when I get 832, I look at that and then I can double check on my numbers. Did I get these right? It also makes it easier for me as the teacher to figure out where a student is going wrong. Sometimes if we're doing some other method and we're doing lots of carrying, it's hard for me to tell if they've messed up on one of the numbers or if they've messed up the whole concept, and it's often really hard to read. So this is the array method or the area model. The next method that we have here is the traditional method. We're doing it a little bit differently than the method we all learned as kids, and there's a really important reason for that. And it has to do with carrying as well, as you might imagine. So we're going to start by stacking up these numbers, 26 times 32. We're going to make sure that we line them up really carefully. If we don't line them up, sometimes we make mistakes that way as well. So then we're going to multiply the 2 times the 6, which is a 12, and we're going to list that there. And then we're going to multiply the 2 times the 20. Remember, this is a 20, not just a 2, so a 2 times a 20. We're going to get 40. And then we're going to multiply the 30 by the 6, which is 180. And then we're going to multiply the 30 times the 20, which is 600. So now I end up with what we call 4 partial products, which is I've multiplied all the pieces of this equation by all the other pieces of this equation and multiplied them out. I can rely on simple basic facts like 6 times 2 or 3 times 2, and then I add some zeros to make sure that I'm maintaining my place value, and I end up with some really nice round numbers or really nice numbers to deal with. So then once I have them, I just have to add them up again, and I can do this again in any method I like to do it. So in this case, I'm just going to carry it down for simplicity's sake. So we've got a 2, and then we have a 1 plus a 4, which is a 5, plus an 8, which is a 13. And then I'm going to end up with a carry there, and I end up with 832. So you can see both methods got me the correct answer or the same answer. I can double check again that all my pieces are correct. As a teacher, I can go in and I can see where the student is making a mistake. Are they making a mistake by not adding the right number of zeros? Are they making a mistake by getting their basic fact wrong? Where exactly are those mistakes happening? Or are they making a mistake with the adding and forgetting to put the carries or forgetting to carry them over? So those are the three common mistakes that I see, is that the student has a mistake with their basic facts, they have a mistake with how the place value of the numbers that they're dealing with, or they have a mistake with their addition. So generally I can tell which one it is and give them some special help. So I know this looks a little bit different than the method that we did, but it's also easier to see what's going on for the student, and it's easier for me to correct and help them. And it also makes it easier because it's not just a series of steps that we're remembering. Instead, it's something that makes a little bit more sense, especially since we taught this method first. So as you can see, the 4 things that I have listed here are same as the 4 things I have listed here. And so we can always cross-check them as well. It doesn't really matter which method the student prefers at this stage, as long as they are consistently able to get a correct answer. We are all happy, and it demonstrates that they have a great understanding of multi-digit multiplication. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.